Hey, what is going on YouTube? Aaron here. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. And guys, in today's video, we have our review here of the newest campaign to come to World of Warships Legends, the Admiral Schröder, the German brawling battlecruiser that is honestly the last thing we really needed in this game, but regardless, it is here, and let's get right into it. First, we're going to go ahead and review the modifications, commander build, and the stats of the ship, and then I'm going to go into the gameplay. A little bit different style of video for you guys here today, but let me know how you like this. Do you prefer this style, or would you like to see the game first and then the stats at the end? Now, my build has changed a few times, and guys, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't like this ship. Now, that being said, it is a very unique ship in the fact that you can get pretty long-range secondaries. On top of that, she is rather tanky and does have decent guns when the guns want to perform. However, if you are running a secondary build, you do have to sacrifice. There are no secondary cruiser commanders, and of course, you are a cruiser in terms of capability. So when you select something like Admiral Schröder here, which is a battleship commander, you can't really effectively use the brawler perk, because that is your battleship main battery reload time. So we did try a secondary build, but as Tommy said very well in his video, this ship it works 1 out of every 30 games. And with my luck and my RNG these past couple weeks, now this is just me, I'm sure other people are having some good games. I saw Durka had a fantastic game. Now that was against a tier 6 battleship, but we won't mention that in the video. No, I'm just kidding. But this ship can be fun in the right set of circumstances, but I don't want to sit through 50 games to get that one game where everyone is just, AFK or something in order to have a good game. Now, that being said, if you're looking for interesting, new, and unique, that is definitely this ship right here. But let's go ahead and run the build that we ran for this specific game. It's just a pure accuracy DPM build. I know that's kind of boring, and but like I said, let's look at our modules first, and then we'll kind of talk about the differences if you want to spec this ship differently. Now, of course, we are running Aiming Systems Mod 1. I would switch that out with Secondary Battery Mod 2 if you are running the secondaries. Propulsion and Concealment is definitely going to help in slot 3 here. And then we are running Reload, which definitely you would want to switch for secondaries if you are trying to. I mean, this just adds to your secondary reload time. So even then, you could still probably choose Main Battery Mod 3 here for that 4th slot. But let's go ahead and review her stats. Now, one shining spot for this ship is she does have some decent survivability for a cruiser at the tier with some decent armor and average torpedo protection there. 59,300 health points is kind of near the top, but you're just a chunky German battle cruiser one of those mixed cruiser battleship type deals that the Germans loved, and you just take a bunch of penetrations, especially because you're tier 8 and you get put into legendary tier. Honestly, if they put this ship at tier 7, it'd probably be a perfect fit as it is. But regardless, here you have the 305mm guns set up in the 4x2 configuration. With this specific build, we have a 15.7 range with a 13.7 reload. So when you can get that reload down, and of course when you get the RNG to go your way, you can get a decent mix of good AP and HE performance. But me personally, I just haven't seen it except for 1 or 2 games, which we will end up showing in this video. AA defense looks decent, but then you kind of look at the mid-range there, and it's like, maybe not the best, but the mid and long range, or I'm sorry, the short range is not the best, but preferably you want the mid and long range to be good, which is decent in this category, so it gets a 91 score, although this number doesn't mean anything, and Wargaming has told me that, so you want to look at the mid and long range. But regardless, your maneuverability, 34.8 knots, pretty decent overall, as well as a tighter turning circle. However, your rudder shift is a 13.6. If Hipper unretires, then I'm sure he can get that down to about 2 seconds and form some form of meme build. Concealment with Concealment Mod is 11.3 in a camo, of course. I'm sure with Makawa you could get that even lower. And Durka did say that he was trying to use some ambush tactics, which is probably a good idea. Now, you do have access to Hydro, which I think is... There's no question why you would choose this consumable, the defensive AA, over the Hydro or the sonar here, but maybe if you're running a carrier div, I have no idea why you do that, though. But this is actually probably a pretty decent choice to select the engine boost if you can work your way into those specific maps with those islands. But again, you're relying on the matchmaker to make this ship instead of the ship itself. But I chose secondary consumable here just for a few memes, but I've not really had the opportunity to use it in most games because more recently, a lot of the gameplay has been a lot more passive, and if you push ahead too early, you're just singled out, and by the time that you get to use this consumable, you know, as Tommy said in his video, there's only like 5 minutes left in the game and you get to use it on maybe one ship. Now that can be effective in certain you know, situations and circumstances, but regardless, I am just coping because I have not done well in this ship at all. But anyway, let's go ahead and look at our build here. We are running Mr. Karl von Müller. We decided to have Burn It Down XXL. It's just going to get you closer. Beyond range you can use in a lot of circumstances and do well, especially with most German cruisers, but I just don't think it's necessary, and you get that increased fire chance, and it helped us out a lot in the game, the replay we have for you guys. But I wasn't with how long of a reload you have. There's so many better ways to DPM in cruisers with much better fire chance. So I just, yeah, that longer reload is definitely going to hinder you. We have Punch Through as well as Fixated, and of course Refill Station. I should probably switch to Fully Packed, but adding to that reload there. I haven't noticed, we did get some decent salvos in the game we're about to show you, but if a few of you saw on stream, I was broadsiding a Musashi at about 5 kilometers. And of course, the Stalingrad and other 305mm cruisers have different AP, you know, characteristics. Somebody told me that on PC, the Elbing has more pen than the Schröder here, but we were 5 or 6 kilometers away from a very broadside Musashi, and not only did the shells not even hit the target, or barely hit the target, they did not citadel or do a, you know, sufficient amount of damage. So it says that the AP performance is good, but I'm not getting it. So I've seen PG and a lot of other people play it, but if you like it, you like it. If not, then it is a campaign ship, and I always recommend getting the campaign ships. However, my final opinion on this thing is this is, if you were looking to skip a campaign, this is it. I am just not a fan of this ship whatsoever. But, like I said, well, one shining armor is, speaking of shining armor, is you do have some decent armor here. 27mm nose, which can be easily overmatched, and a pretty big freeboard there, but you do have a rather protected citadel and a decent casemate with, what is this on the side here? Is that 90? I think it's, yeah, so 90 here. So if you do angle, such as kind of like this, if the gentleman comes back and tells me how to angle, then you will be rather protected. However, your deck is pretty exposed and is 30mm, so you'll be getting overmatched by Vermont, Ohio, Yamato, and Georgia. So if you were wondering. But anyway, yeah, just a chunky German ship. Like I said, decently protected citadel. You do have a reverse turtleback there based on that slope. However, I don't think it's going to be enough to truly protect you. I've been yeeted once or twice in this thing. So just again, decent armor, but just I just don't like this ship. But let's go ahead and get into the gameplay for you guys. I hope you guys like that early review. Let me know what you guys think. I'll see you in the game. Peace. Alright guys, let's go ahead and get right into the game here. We are on North on this A spawn here. A pretty favorable match for us. A bunch of cruisers, only one destroyer, and a few battleships there. So decent, considering this thing is definitely going to be a cruiser killer. You do have capabilities to go against destroyers with your strong sonar there, but we decided to go out on the flank here. This ship will excel either getting a flank or navigating in between islands using your speed and, of course, secondaries if you can get those, you know, your ship into those situations. However, here on North, especially on this A side, you can't really go to that large island. You can, but you're going to be bow in, nose in for a majority of the time. So I reserve that island for my more DPM style of cruisers. Considering if we go out here on the flank, we will have access or, you know, try to put ourselves in a kiting position here, which is what I should have done before I shot at this Belfast. I didn't think he was going to be able to slow down that quickly, but unfortunately he did, and he dodges a little bit of our salvo. However, we hold our cursor there for the blind fire, and we actually get better RNG on a blind fire than we do on most of my well-aimed shots. one overpen and one citadel there for a nice chunk off of that Belfast. And in the meantime, we are getting targeted by that Buffalo, and I believe it is a Richelieu over there as well. So favorable matchmaking for this ship, and here is kind of exactly what I'm talking about. While this Mogami has put himself in a decent spot to DPM, he is now broadside to most of those ships. He would have served himself much better to either be behind spawn there, where he is able to throttle jockey. You know, he presses forward, A on his throttle there, or X if you're on the worst console, or B there to dodge those shells. Instead, he is kind of sitting right there on the spot we were talking about. Now, he is getting the cap, so that is a positive or plus play, we will call it. However, you want to... Each ship kind of has its own unique characteristics in terms of is it going to be better bow tanking, or is it going to be better kiting, or, you know, playing from mid to long range, and the Japanese cruisers are much better at long range there. But there was probably one of the best salvos. That, I can almost say hands down, that is probably one of the best salvos we have gotten with this ship. 4 pens, with one of them being a citadel there. And now we are kind of in the spot we want to be in. We are out here on the flank, and because that Mogami and that other battleship are on the inside, the ships out here near A have a decision to make. They can either target us, in which case they will not be targeting our allies, or they can target our allies, at which, you know, we will be continuing to get their broadsides. However, this Buffalo does no armor angling, as do we, as we turn in a little bit. However, he was deciding to shoot HE, so I'm not necessarily worried about giving up too much angle to him. We are going to stop, however, and reverse, and in doing so, we're allowing ourselves to not be put into a bad position. And what we mean by that is some German battleship or battlecruiser mains, just think if you rush forward, you know, and get your secondaries on target, that you're going to win the game. And in certain situations, you provide a spark for your team. We actually have a game in the GK I've kind of been holding on to where we utilize an aggressive smart push and provide a good spark for our team. However, in this situation, I didn't think that a push would be necessary, and in most situations, especially, you see it all the time. You see a triple Schlieffen division or a GK division, and they just rush right into the middle of the map, they die, and then they send you hate mail because you didn't play like a man with them. But in this situation here, we're going to utilize our concealment. We're going to back up. Our Jaeger from the middle spawn actually came over, and I don't hate this play. This guy actually gets a pretty fantastic score. However, I would have preferred it if he would have capped B, but we can't really see where the other destroyer is, so he may have tried to get B. Again, it's hard to look at the minimap and, you know, experience the game through 9 different perspectives, which is something to keep in mind when you are playing. You aren't experiencing the game from other people's perspectives. However, objectively, you can look at certain plays like a backlining battleship or, you know, a destroyer avoiding caps, etc., and just say that those are bad plays. And sometimes people get upset at that. They refuse to look at objectivity instead of subjectivity. And speaking of objectivity, rushing into the enemy backfield in a Summers is probably not the best play. However, the Summers connects a few torps on our Mogami there, as we see the beautiful accuracy from the Schröder. Like I said, this is one of the better RNG games, but as you can see, I just completely missed there at 10 kilometers. And there's just so many better cruisers at the tier. Now, I get that sometimes playing the most OP competitive ships is not that much fun, and I've been trying to steer away from that myself. However, in a game like this where you lose 3 teammates in the first 4 minutes here, 5 minutes, you need a ship that can simply hit the target. As we lose a 4th ship there in 5 minutes. Should I do a video compilation of the games in this past week here with how many ships have died in the first 5 minutes? It's truly astonishing, and I think somebody, they said it on the Legends live stream. It's like, well, this is a very casual game, and I get that, I understand that, but I'll go back to the same pickup basketball analogy. When you go to your local YMCA or whatever it is, you're not expecting people to be Michael Jordan or Scottie Pippen, etc. Larry Bird. If you guys haven't watched Larry Bird highlights, Larry Bird was a dog, man. He was a true baller. I think recency bias has us remembering, you know, I mean, Kobe and LeBron are, of course, great. But anyway, Larry Bird is the GOAT. But back up to the pickup basketball analogy, as we are now surrounded by, I think, 5 ships. Buffalo, Richelieu, another Richelieu, Belfast, and Summers, yeah, as our team. It's funny because we have a majority, and Amagi out there, I'm sorry. So 2 Richelieus, Amagi, Buffalo, Belfast, and Summers all on this flank, and our team still died. to finish off that pickup basketball analogy, I've said it multiple times now. When you go to your local YMCA or whatever and you're playing pickup basketball, you don't have to be the best player, but you have to abide by a certain set of rules. You can't commit egregious fouls. You can't pick up the basketball and start running. And that is what I sometimes see in this game. Now, of course, it's a video game. I've already stopped caring about this particular match, and you try to do as best you can in every game, but it gets exhausting, especially the last 2 nights on stream when you're trying to play or have a little bit of fun and no one else is doing anything around you. It's like the group project in school, and you're the only one contributing. So that is going to be my only rant for the time as we try and finish off what is a hopeless game at this point. Some people may be looking at the Jaeger's play and think that it is not a good one. However, given the circumstances, I don't mind his play at all. He seemed to know what he was doing. He was drawing out the other battleships, distracting him. There was also a Buffalo in that Alpha Cap, so he wasn't able to get into the Alpha Cap. Now, like I said, I would have preferred he get the Bravo Cap early, but we don't know what that Summers did or what the other ships near the Bravo Cap were. And even if he did go to the Bravo Cap, I still don't think that we're even close to winning this game. You are just destined to lose some games, and this one was definitely one of them. We do catch a fire on that Amagi there, and we are going to get our second elimination. He does put it out, but we're going to go ahead and throw one more salvo off. We did manage to get the Belfast down, so between those 2 kills, attracting a metric shit ton of damage, we have absolutely accomplished our goals. However, as you can see, as I was mentioning in the early review there, we were in no position to put ourselves into secondary range unless we were going to put ourselves out of position by rushing 3 ships, one of which was in smoke, and then as you can see, it would have been a 6-on-1 essentially, or a 6-on-3, considering all of the 3 ships near the Bravo Cap came to our side. So just one of those truly Legends games where your team is just nowhere to be found. But we did the best we could, and sometimes that's all you can ask for. And it's a decent, a decent outing for the Schröder. A few of you have seen me play it on stream, and this is one of the better RNG games, even though if I'm being objective, if I'm in the Buffalo, the Ibuki, or any other Tier 8 cruiser, my DPM is much better. I'm probably getting more accurate salvos. Now, I may not have the armor, but even if I'm in the room, I have a set of torpedoes, which is another downside to the ship. No torpedoes. I think if they would have given this thing just the standard 4 German torps that go 6 kilometers, then this thing would have been pretty nasty. But here is just the end of the game, and I was like, you know what, we're just going to go ahead and turn broadside. The Jaeger actually connected a few torps on that Richelieu there, and I thought he was going to be distracted and look at him. However, he was not detected, so the Richelieu has nothing else to shoot at except for me here. And I know that this game is... I'm just prolonging the inevitable at this point, so we go ahead and turn. We're going to try and rush the Summers if we can get there. However, you can see that the Richelieu has reacquired us, and it probably wouldn't have mattered. There were more Summers torps on the way, and we go down to the salvo from the Richelieu. But we do trade, get the flesh wound there. We can get, I guess, a participation trophy for our team in this game. As you can see, this game was just... It was over from the onset when we got placed on this team. But 3 kills, 126,000 damage, 10 fires, and 3 citadels there. So again, not a groundbreaking game by any stretch of the imagination, but one that I had a little bit of fun in and where the ship performed. But if you've seen a few of the games on streams, this is probably the best game I've had in this ship. And I know some people are going to claim skill issue or whatever, but if you put me in any other ship in this situation, I think we do. I think it does better in most regards, objectively speaking. But that doesn't mean you still can't have fun with this ship. As I've always said, campaigns are always a bargain. $10 for a ship and a bunch of premium items, we will call them. But as I said earlier in my review, as the Jaeger gets a beautiful set of torps here on this Buffalo, if you were looking to skip one, this would be a definite skip from me. It's just not my ship. But anyway, guys, we'll go ahead and throw up the final screenshot here for a beautiful performance. GG's to the enemy team. They played it fantastically. And if you were on my team in that game, try and spread out. Try and get the capture points first. And don't die as quickly. I think if you just have the motto, don't die in the first 5 minutes and look for opportunities, you're going to find yourself having much better games than pretty much everyone on our team did in this game. But that's the review. I hope you guys like this different style. I won't be playing this ship too much more. So, Aaron out. Peace.